And one of the ways that we're doing that is our 40 to None network. And here to talk a little bit more about our 40 to None network is my colleague Twiggy. So, who in here is a member of our 40 to None network? Oh, okay, good. And who has an idea of what it is, who is not a member? Anybody? Yeah? Well, last year we launched a professional cross-sector membership network that for individuals who are actively working on or whose work has the potential to affect LGBT youth homelessness. As you see here, it's only about 11 places, it looks like, but our network has expanded and we are in 42 out of 50 states. So we like to consider it a digital potluck where everyone has something to bring to the table. And we use a lot of food idioms in our work because everybody likes food. And so as you see here is our website that you can use if you haven't joined. The link is on the screen and there's a free postcard in your folder. When you're a member of our 40 to None network, you also get a monthly e-newsletter and opportunities to collaborate with us. And so I'll let Joe tell you about other opportunities. So as Twiggy mentioned, our network is cross-sector, which means that we're often faced with a significant challenge, and that's we're not all always speaking the same language. So this is a common issue that we face. So to level the playing field a little bit, we are currently developing an online training platform that will get everyone on the same page with a common understanding of the issue. So we're going to start off with a 101 course, and then we're going to move on to more advanced courses, and then eventually we'll move everybody onto specialized tracks based on your field of work. So now we know that everybody is already overwhelmed and overworked, so we don't want to add too much more to your plate. So we promise we're going to make this as engaging as possible. Lessons are going to be no more than 10 to 15 minutes each. You could do it at your own pace. And it's going to be free for all of our 40 to None network members. So that's one project that we're really excited about. And we're doing that in partnership with the Mazie Center, the Learning Consortium. Next up, we are moving into the mobile space. So there was a study recently that showed that 83.5% of young people experiencing homelessness use the internet at least once per week. And 62% of them own a mobile phone. This is something that a lot of people who are not working in this space, they have a difficult time wrapping their heads around, because if you're homeless, how would you have access to a mobile phone? But for many of these young people, it really is their lifeline. So we need to make sure that we're moving into the mobile space because that's where the young people are. So at the True Colors Fund, we are in the process of developing a mobile app that will connect young people to the resources that they need no matter where they are in the country. And I know a number of organizations in here are already working on mobile apps. I know the Ruth Ellis Center is. Who else is that an organization that's working on a mobile app? That's great. So what we would love is to not duplicate efforts, and if we can be in touch and see how our apps might be able to interface with one another, that would be great. As we've mentioned many times throughout the day, collaboration is a big part of our work, so we'd love to collaborate with you on this. And another person that I'd like to invite up onto the stage is Christopher Wood, Executive Director of the LGBT Technology Partnership, and he's going to talk a little bit about how our organizations have been working together in the mobile space.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. As I want to take just a quick second and say thank you very much to True Colors Fund, because this is absolutely necessary and very important in our work, but essentially to these kids. I have a confession to make, and actually Jema is going to bring this out, is I really have not admitted this publicly very often, but I was kicked out of my house. I was kicked out of my house. Both my parents are in the military. My mom retired as a full-bird colonel. My dad was a nuclear weapons specialist. And when they found out I was gay, I was immediately kicked out. It was one of the hardest points in my life. It's also one of the driving factors for mobile phone use, because the only thing that stopped me from sleeping on the street that night was the fact that I had a mobile phone in my possession. It allowed me to call friends. It allowed me to find a warm place to sleep until I could get back to my parents and begin having the difficult conversations of, look, this is not something I chose, this is the way I was born. Which took many years to repair, many years to fix, many fights, many physical fights, and me moving out as soon as I graduated high school. It was because of that and even more so now, and the fact that I haven't talked about that particular point in my life, that this next program is so near and dear to my heart. The LGBT Technology Institute did a little bit of research, pulling a lot from the research that has already been done, and looking at a way, where's the hole? Earlier, the panelists were talking about where's that hole? Where does it need to be filled? And one thing that we realized was that if you're kicked out, if I was kicked out that day and didn't have a phone, my ability to go get a phone would be nearly impossible. So we're developing a program that will put a phone in the hands of kids from day one. Homeless youth. Not just, we're going to focus on LGBT, but we're not going to ask that individual if they're LGBT. If they walk into a place where they can get one of our phones, they will get a phone for free for a period of time, allowing them to get on the social service programs, allowing them to access people, services, great organizations, to make sure that they have access for that period of time until they can get on a program like Lifeline, which is a really hard program to get on if you're not already on a social service. The other thing about the Connect for Life program that we've been looking at, and you've heard Cindy say it, you've heard many people say it, is data. We need to understand data. And so we've been looking at how do we work, with that cell phone, how do we work to collect data where appropriate, where it's going to help the community. And not just data that tells us what those kids are doing, but data that actually helps those kids as well. For example, we're developing an app, but completely different from what you're developing. An app where a kid would be able to say, I was harassed here on this corner, on Washington, D.C., on 19th and K. And it would send the information to the server. It would then send it back to all the phones that have this app on it to be able to tell other homeless youth, there was somebody harassed here. It's not a safe area right now. That's active data that they can use. You heard the youth talk about, I'm not going to give my story, I'm not going to give you something until I get something back. I need something back. And they need something back. But that also allows us to help other kids in that city, other kids in that district. And so, again, it's about putting a phone, it's about putting access into their hands so that it's one less thing they have to worry about, but it's also about gathering the data so that we can truly understand what's going on the street. It's a really important program for us, and it's one of the many things we're working on. I think the other thing I'd say is we can't do it alone. We've talked about collaboration. We fully collaborate. We've been working with True Colors for 2 years now. They're probably one of the best partners in the world, but I want to partner with everybody in the room that has the ability and wants to. So I want to partner with youth. I want to partner with different partners, research, and funding, because it doesn't pay for itself. And quite frankly, the programs that are currently in place won't help us in this particular endeavor. So thank you very much. Thank you so much to you all. Thanks.
Thank you. It's an incredible program. So if you have any input on any of the projects that we've spoken about today, please reach out, especially the young people in the room. We want your input. So please, the email's up on the screen. And to wrap up, I'm going to hand the mic back to Twiggy.
So one last thing, everybody take your phones out. Come on, take your phones out. So we want everyone to tweet their biggest takeaway thus far from the day and use the hashtag 40 to none. And if you don't have Twitter, text someone. What we're going to do, if we have time, throughout the day, is post up some of your tweets about what you took away from the day. And either way, we're going to share them with everybody else. Thank you.
We're going to take another short break. So we'll